Hey everybody, welcome back to ChortleCast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the Stream King, the Far Cry Guy, the man who may cry devil, the King of Thieves, and
L'Assassin!
Steven, what's up, buddy?
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
How
are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a rough couple weeks. Just quarantine depression starting to get to you. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Glad we're starting to get out of this. People are getting better, and then the world just goes crazy. You know what I mean? The world's just still spinning, and it's still crazy. But I don't want to get into that because I'll get depressed. So here's a really real open for you, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what we're going to talk about. ChortleCast. I just broke myself. Steven, I asked you how you were doing. Why did you ask me how I'm doing?
I will never ask you how you're doing again.
I'm never good. Let me just tell you that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is ChortleCast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you this week. Very exciting stuff we're going to be talking about later in the show and after the show. But first, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 event that's happening this coming week, which is very exciting. We're going to talk about that rumored / somewhat confirmed Kingdom Hearts TV show that's being made for Disney Plus. We're going to talk about the PS Plus games for this month. We're going to talk about Ironman VR. We're going to talk about Shadow of War for some reason, Division 2, and then I think I already said Ironman VR. Whatever else comes up, you know, this is a free flow show. We're just going to talk and yammer and yawn. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know what yawn means. I'm in a mood. Yep. I'm drinking LaCroix, ladies and gentlemen. I'm drinking my normal podcast LaCroix, and that's all there is. I don't know what's up. Although I did watch a TikTok last night, Steven, where someone was making candles out of White Claw cans. But what was really funny about it was I was like half asleep watching it, and I was like, ooh, White Claw. And then they had the wax. They looked like big sticks of butter. And I was like, ooh, White Claw. And then I was like, ooh, butter, like thinking they were baking something. And Lee Allison was like rolling laughing because she was like, that's candle wax. Why did you think that was butter? So anyway, that's just, you know, you go on a diet and all you think about is butter. I'm just here to tell you.
Yeah. I totally know what that's like.
Speaking of going on a diet and only thinking about one thing, let's talk about the Ps5 conference that's coming next week, Steven.
Would that have been the best thing to segue to?
You know, Steven, I've been thinking a lot about the PS5 because we haven't really heard anything about the PS5, so I thought it was a pretty relevant segue. But you know what? You can keep your thoughts about irrelevant segues to yourself. Sony finally has announced that there will be a PS5 conference that will be broadcast on Thursday, June 4th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time for us. I always mention that because they never mention Central Standard Time. You know what I mean? I'm always confused. This was confirmed, yada, yada.
That's the test.
That's the test.
That's how they let you in. It's the password, is showing up on time.
You got to figure out the time. The PlayStation confirmed in a blog after, you know, a lot of rumors had come out. But basically they are this is going to be a look at the future of gaming on the PS5. So this is Jim Ryan said that the games coming to PS5 represent the biggest industry, the games coming to PS5 represent the best in the industry from innovative studios that span the globe. Studios, both larger and smaller, those newer and those more established, all have been hard at work developing games that will showcase the potential of the hardware. This is supposed to be an hour-long showcase, and basically it's going to be focusing more on games. And from everything I've read, we're not really expecting much news on the hardware, or like, because we know a lot about the hardware, but like people don't think we're going to see the box in this demo. We're not going to get a release date or anything like that. So this is all very exciting. We'll obviously see what happens Thursday and what we get announced. But Steven, the question I'm going to raise to you is, what is your biggest hope going into this event? Like, what do you hope they show? What are you hoping for? I can start because I kind of tossed that at you. I'm hoping.
Yeah, go ahead and start.
I'm hoping we get a Horizon Zero Dawn 2 reveal. I think that would be really cool. That would be a really big win. I know Brody would love like a Bloodborne reveal of some sort, like Bloodborne 2 or something.
Brody probably wants Elden Ring to finally.
Yeah, but that's so far away. That's so far away.
Yeah.
But I don't know what else. Like a Spider-Man 2 would be a really cool reveal. I just don't know if we're close enough to that game happening.
I don't think we
would get a reveal like that.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful, but I just don't think we're there.
I sort of am expecting, at least over the last several years, Sony has kind of done this big three, if you will, kind of like game strategy, and I think they're going to kind of continue with that. Like this past like cycle, if you will, the big games have been Death Stranding, Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima. Before that, it was Days Gone, God of War, and Spider-Man. And it's just kind of like those three are the big hitters they showed at E3 every year and all this and that. Now, obviously, they've cycled out of E3 at this point. But I am sort of expecting to get like what are the next big three that are going to open PlayStation 5. And I hope one of them is Horizon Zero Dawn. And then new IP would be another thing I'd say I'd be really excited to see. Something
I would love to hear from some new games.
Yeah.
I would love if they announced a Legend of Dragoon remaster. People have been pining for that for a while. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you really want to see a remaster at the first party game showcase for the PS5?
I mean, I don't know what I want to see because, like asking me, Steven, what do you hope PlayStation comes out with, like shows that they're coming out with? Okay, here's what I hope that is never going to happen. New Infamous.
Wouldn't that be great?
Not going to happen.
Wouldn't that be great?
Not going to happen. That is one of the only games on PlayStation that we would realistically get. Well, not even realistically. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I have no ties to PlayStation during the PlayStation 3 era, and I didn't really have any ties to the PlayStation 2 era first parties. So I'm just kind of like the most beloved PlayStation 3 game of all time could get a follow-up at this PS5 thing, and I'll just be like, oh, is this new?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And then people will hate me, will get dislike bombed again. People will tell me to stop chewing with my mouth open on live camera. Brody made that joke on Saturday when I used Facecam for the first time in a long time. Yeah, I don't know. There's a game that came out on PS3 that I've probably talked about once or twice called Starhawk. It was a third-person shooter, tower defense, like RTS hybrid, and I want that.
That could be cool. That could be a lot of fun. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. I'm excited to see what Thursday brings. It would be a lovely surprise if they would give us more information about the box itself. Did you notice, though, Stephen, last thing I'll talk about this, the GIF that they tweeted out to announce the conference? It was the DualSense controller, but it was it looked like a dark gray, black, or blue version. And a lot of people were like, is it just because it's shadowing and it's just making the white controller look black, or are they actually going to do a black version of it? Which I thought was interesting, which I'm glad about, because that was my one complaint was I just don't like this white color. Why is this the only version they're giving us? So that'll be an interesting conversation after, if we do get to see oh yeah, there is a black version of the system. An interesting conversation will be, why did they show the white one first? Or why did they just show the white one? No one understands. Okay, I'll move on. Actually, Stephen, do you want to talk about Outriders right now? I forgot about that in my intro because it's not on my sheet. But you wanted
Sure.
The Outriders had a live stream this week. Kind of showing off new gameplay. Talk
in
to us about
case
that.
you are like literally everyone else and forgot Outriders even existed, or just haven't heard of it.
I'm in that list.
It is a game being made by, I think, People Can Fly or something like that.
Oh, I'll double check.
It's some weird developer name, but it was shown at the Square Enix E3 press last year, and then they finally revealed gameplay for it a little bit earlier this year. It was either earlier this year or last year around Christmas time.
It is People Who Can Fly, by the way.
Okay. So this game, when they first showed the gameplay and stuff for it, people were just like, "Oh, so it's the new Anthem, Destiny, Division. It's the new MMO light genre entrant," which I can understand that thought. It definitely looked like that, but they showed more gameplay and more details at this. I forget what they call it, but it's a monthly series that they're doing for Outriders, where they're doing just like a 40-minute. It was closer to like 30 minutes or so live stream where they show gameplay and showcase stuff, that showcase the different classes. So interesting stuff. I recommend going to look at it if you like any of those kinds of games listed. But what was most interesting to me, Jake, and I'll list some of the things they talked about. This game is very misunderstood. Or at least misunderstood from its initial reveal. Because people said, it's Anthem, Destiny, Division, it's one of those. It's not. It's actually, like, if they are to be believed that this game is what they say it is, this is not an MMO light. It is more correctly compared to Borderlands. And here's why. One of the things they said in this broadcast was they insisted. I think they said it in the broadcast. They either said it in the broadcast or in an article afterward. It's not a games as service title. It is a full game at launch from the box. They insist, and we've all heard that before. But the more I've seen for this game, the more I kind of feel like that's going to be the case. So what that means, I assume, is, again, kind of like Borderlands, where you have a full campaign that you can play through with your friends. There is a class system, there's loot, there's levels, there's skill trees, all that kind of stuff. But you are playing the campaign. And you can play the campaign, again, on hard difficulties if you want to, and then maybe DLC will come out later. Maybe they'll do replayable modes, like horde modes or whatever. But it feels very much like a game that has the mentality of games before Destiny ruined the shooter genre. I say ruined, it changed it to where every game has to constantly be pining for your attention. This game seems like it is, hopefully, if I'm understanding them correctly, trying to be that game that tries to leave an impact and not just be super forgettable but super addictive. Which is the MMO Lite, Anthem, Division, Destiny, all those kinds of games.
Right.
Some of the things that they listed in this broadcast were that they did a little bit more on the lore. They showed some new creatures and this city. They showed Pyromancer gameplay. Right now we know of 3 classes in the game. There's Pyromancer, which is fire, Devastator, which is earth, and Trickster, which is time and space.
Yeah, I know. That's what I always laugh at. Like, how did they get to that? Like, that's where their branches went.
And let me tell you, Jake, they showcased the Trickster at this broadcast. Like, for 20 minutes, they showed the Trickster. You need to go watch this showcase. You would be all about the Trickster. It literally has abilities where it's just like, oh, teleport immediately behind an enemy that you're targeting. Oh, create a sword out of temporal energy and then swing it into a bunch of enemies. Okay, cool. And then you can blink back out to where you were. Like, that's the kind of stuff that the Trickster does.
Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah. They manipulate time. They can teleport. They can slow enemies. They can vaporize enemies. All this kind of stuff. They look super cool. But they showed the way the classes work. There are going to be 4 classes. We only know of those 3 right now. I think the 4th class is going to be an ice class. Really hope so, because that's I would be all about that. But further going along that line of this game is not an MMO light kind of mindset. They said in the gameplay of the Pyromancer in this broadcast, you heal by being aggressive. So you heal by hurting or killing the enemy. So a lot of people might initially hear like, well, Steven, you'll hate this game then. Because you can't be a support character. That's not... that. Okay, I got so pissed off at Destiny when they ruined my support builds because they were claiming to be something that they weren't. They had 1 foot in, 1 foot out with support, where they would come out with Lumina and be like, oh, you could finally be a support player. And then they would just be like, except you can't because it's not viable. Like stuff like that. But if a game is just like out the door, this is a game about just everyone's doing damage. Everyone is filling different combat roles to where like it's more of a positioning kind of thing and who can take more damage or who deals more AoE stuff like that. Like it's the different flavors of damage. If they're just upright and honest about that, I can be on board.
Right.
And the gameplay doesn't look the smoothest. That was kind of my worry, was that it looked very early.
Yeah.
And it's not very early, but it looked beta.
Yeah.
It looked very beta. Well, actually, it looked more alpha. But
whatever letter of the Greek alphabet.
There's an important distinction there. Trust me, I've done both. But the more they talk about it, like conceptually, like the ideas that they have going into this game are fantastic.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of UI control. They showed that a lot in this broadcast. They were just like, let's say you want to just experience the world with no UI. Let's go into the UI and we can take off this and this and this and this. That you're able to control like how much appears on your screen.
That's cool.
If you want to just see all of it, you can see all of it. There's going to be world tiers in this game. So basically difficulty modes. Think Diablo.
Or Division.
But Division did it very poorly. But we'll get to that. Speaking of Division, in about 5 minutes, I'll talk about Division. So, in addition to world tiers, there, I laid the seeds for that segue. Now I can just be like,
I appreciate it.
Moving on. That's how you do it. So, in addition to world tier stuff, they talked about the classes, and you know how in Destiny abilities are kind of a joke, where there's basically a grenade, a melee, and a super, and they try to pass off the grenade and the melee as an ability, even though really the only ability you have is the super.
Right.
In Outriders, you have 3 slots, just like Anthem. Each class looks like it's going to have, I think, 8 skills to choose from that are all designed to have quick cooldowns.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So if I had to like mash 2 games together to say that's what Outriders is, I would probably say Borderlands and Anthem.
Yeah. Talking about skills, I do remember one headline coming out of this that said you could make a character that never uses guns, like that just is spamming their abilities.
Yep.
Which sounded right up my alley too. So I need to look more into this.
And another thing, and this is such a small thing, but it's such a big thing. They announced this at the reveal, and I hope this hasn't changed. Your co-op partners appear in your cutscenes. That is huge.
Big deal.
And not enough people are doing that. Destiny did it very rarely.
Really only in raids. And it's not even cutscenes. It's just like the first
It's just
intro.
And if you even get past that, then Destiny never did it. Like the most they did was like the little intro where you show everybody arriving. But apparently in Outriders, your squad shows up with you, which I really like.
Cool.
It just seems like it's a game to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
It's not a game to be like, go pre-order it now, it's the next big thing. Not by any means. But it is a game that seems to understand the importance, or that it's a game that seems to understand that certain old mechanics don't go out of style.
Right.
And it will hopefully embrace that and give us really an alternative to Borderlands if you're looking for something with more of a dark tone and a third-person style.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be next gen.
Yeah, I was about to say it was one of the. I remember it as one of the first ones that was announced for PS5. So
yeah, I think it was the second one after Godfall.
Yeah, Godfall was the other one that was the first one. So interesting. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch some of that. So.
And lastly, because I forgot to mention this, and it's like I'm looking at it as I'm closing the stream because I was watching it again. There are skill trees, and Destiny. Just using that as an example to further separate, this is not a Destiny game, but Destiny has the trees are literally 4 things, and then that's your class. This is three trees. Like it's showing Trickster. There's Master of Space, Harbinger, and Assassin, and each tree has branching slots to where you actually it'll branch off to where you can go up or down, and you go to the one that fits your build best. So there is more of an RPG element to this game than a lot of other games that people claim it to be. So and I'm not saying that, haters, you're 100% wrong. This game's not going to be anything like Destiny. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it has potential to be something that we aren't expecting in a good way. And it's just to keep an eye on it.
We'll keep an eye on it. Speaking of something to keep an eye on, Kingdom Hearts is apparently having a TV show made.
I just did a Division segue, Jake. You ruined it.
Well, we're not to catch up yet.
Speaking of ruining it, Kingdom Hearts has a show coming to Disney Plus.
There you go. That's better. That is much better. So yeah, apparently I don't know who wants this, but I am like one of the biggest Kingdom Hearts fans ever, and I don't even really want this. But Kingdom Hearts show is reportedly being in development for Disney Plus. Basically, Disney originally wanted to make it, but it didn't work out. So Square Enix was asked to create the plot or create a pilot using Unreal Engine. The series is most likely not going to be live action, but will be CG animation, so it'll look like the game. Anyway, this series, just talking about that again. That's really it. That's really all we know right now. There's not a whole ton of detail, but I just wanted to come in and comment on it. That number one, I don't know why somebody wants this. I think this is a weird choice because Kingdom Hearts has one of the most hilariously complex and just outrageous storylines and plot lines that I don't know why someone said that would make a great show because it is so convoluted. But, however, I do have some comments. If they're going to do this, I hope what they do is this is a reboot. Okay, yeah. I don't want a spinoff. I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth because normally I would be against everything I'm about to say, but I hope it's a reboot. I don't want a spinoff. I don't want this to just somehow expand the world and the lore. I want them to start over, and I honestly think it could be an interesting show if they just detach from everything and seriously do a hard reboot. Because if they're just gonna dive in to where we are now in the story, it's I don't think you're gonna garner a new audience. Because it's just there's way too much. It's way too convoluted. And again, even if they did some sort of spin-off, which I don't even know what that would look like. I don't know. I'm just fingers crossed that it's not horrible, but we'll see. Steven, did you have any additional thoughts on that, or?
No.
I didn't think so.
I've got nothing to say about Kingdom Hearts.
Just wanted to give you the opportunity. Speaking about having nothing to say, let's talk about PlayStation Plus free games for the month of June, which is Call of Duty World War II and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Sony did something very weird for this announcement. They on the day that I think normally they would release games, they announced that Call of Duty was coming, and then they were like, we'll announce the other game later. And that's weird. They've never done that before. Why are they doing it differently? And so my mind was thinking, okay, they must be waiting for some other thing to fall into place. And the announcement for that game is going to be like really cool, like really crazy. And at the time, the Last of Us Part 2 like state of play was happening. And so I was telling you guys, I was like, how crazy, how bananas would it be if like the free game for June was Last of Us Part 2? Like, why would they do that? I don't know, but what are they waiting on? And it ended up just being Star Wars Battlefront 2. So I don't know why they did. There was no crazy Star Wars event. There was no nothing. Like they just delayed telling us for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm sure behind the scenes there was some legal thing that just hadn't completely gone through yet. And so that's what they were waiting on. But man, they built the suspense for like, I don't know what would have really excited me after that suspense had kind of been built in my own head. I don't know if anybody else is really expecting anything crazy, but anyway, what do you think, Steven, of these two games? Two pretty decent sized games. I mean, normally we get flops for free games, but these are both
we
really
just
big.
got a farming simulator title, so
We got City Skylines and Farming Simulator 2018 or something last month.
Yeah.
So comparatively, these are both huge games, but I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it is. I think it's both of them are a good get. Someone said to me, they were just like, "Oh, this is so stupid. This is so dumb. Why would they give us Call of Duty World War II? Don't they realize that no one plays these Call of Duty games after a year?" But the fact is, it's the most recent World War II game. And there is a large group of people who play Call of Duty for the World War II games because that's where Call of Duty started.
Right.
And in my opinion, that's where Call of Duty is best.
Right.
So that's a good get.
Did that one have zombies? Did we determine that?
I'm pretty sure it had zombies.
Okay. That's all I care about.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the story was pretty good. I'm a sucker for any good campaign that takes place during World War II because those, if done well, those are excellent.
Yeah.
And I mean the multiplayer, it's there.
Right.
I'm not gonna play it, but that's really good news for people who are still playing Call of Duty World War II. Because it's the most recent World War II game, so yeah, keep it alive.
Yep. And then Battlefront 2, I'm excited. I want to try it. I think that we should maybe try to do that Thursday if we can.
We definitely should do that, and we should ask Kalen if he wants to come too, because he actually plays Battlefront 2 with FFG sometimes.
Okay, yeah. Or we could see if FFG is doing something. We could maybe do a private match with them or something.
Really?
Not to win, but just to play.
I mean, honestly, we could get a bunch of people. It's free on PS Plus, so we might actually be able to do just a really big. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but if you own Battlefront 2, let us know. We may do something like small. Who knows?
Anyway, it could be exciting. That's the one I'm most excited to try because when it first came out, there was all the controversy around it.
Battlefront 2 has been bad since EA got it, and now I hear it's okay. Congratulations,
Gotcha.
EA. You caught up with a game that came out 15 years ago.
15 years ago. Wow. So anyway, yeah. So I'm excited to try that one and just see what it's like. I'm just not a big multiplayer person normally, but I think it could be fun since it's free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a good free game to get.
Yeah. Speaking of free games, there's a game that you own, so you won't have to spend money to get it, called The Division 2, that two of your favorite people play, that you should play with them.
Who's the second favorite person?
Jeremy.
Okay,
obviously.
great. I'm just making sure. I just wanted to assure myself.
It's Jeremy both times.
Yeah, it's just Jeremy twice. Okay, good.
It's just Jeremy
I was afraid
twice.
there was someone else in there, and I wanted to set that record straight. So
Yeah, the only thing better than Jeremy is two Jeremys.
it's two Jeremys, exactly.
Three Jeremys. Whoa.
I will admit, I did
but-
get a little jealous when I tuned into the stream Saturday night, and it was you playing Torchlight. Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Torchlight with Jeremy. I was like, oh. See, I don't know where. I assume they're playing this on PC, and I probably don't have this, but Big Germ's there, and I wish I was there.
Guess what, Jake?
Is it on PS4?
It's on PS4 and Switch.
See, I should have. What were y'all playing it on? PS4?
PC, just because it's a modding playground on PC. Like if you look up classes, there's like 50 classes that people have added to this game.
Oh wow.
The first one that shows up when you look up classes on Steam Workshop is the God class, and it literally just says "Be a God," adds God class.
Wow.
But then you go like really deep, like far down the rabbit hole of just bad. There's a class called Mongol Archer. Some of them are really good.
Yeah.
Jeremy's playing a samurai character, and I'm playing a spell slinger, so a gun character with 2 pistols that shoots magic.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love that. But then there's stuff like the Mongol Archer. So yeah.
Anyway, I derailed you. Division. You were making a Division segue.
But if Torchlight did look good, you should get that too, because
I might have.
So Division 2, I have to talk about every week because I'm in a season of playing Division 2, so I have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in the middle of doing the public test server for Title Update 10. And just to let you guys know, to update you, I did get to play Title Update 10 Phase 1 last week because I was rushing to get to Keener during the recording of the podcast last week. I actually was playing while we were recording because I was so terrified that I would run out of time. But I got to play it, and holy crap, this update is going to be incredible. They have, or at least from Phase 1, they've added a ton of stuff as far as like new gear is concerned, as well as just good quality of life stuff. Mm-hmm. I haven't gotten to do Phase 2, but I'm not going to talk about why, because I'm bummed about it. But the thing I'm here to talk about is when they released the PTS Phase 1, because of course they did, a data miner found a bunch of audio logs. Mm-hmm. And I won't... Oh, Flynn is outside. Hey there, buddy. He's barking at something. He was just barking at something, probably one of the other dogs. Okay, sorry, that was Anna. So these audio logs revealed spoilers, and I'm not going to discuss the spoilers. I'm just going to discuss the thing I'm excited about the spoilers, but I'm excited about the new game mode. Mm-hmm. These audio logs revealed spoilers for the next 3 seasons.
Wow.
So that's the next 9 months of content.
That's a heck of a thing to have leak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it in my eyes at least, it did them a lot of favors for it to leak. Good. Because we're in a season right now, not actual game season, but we're in a time period right now where Division 2 has momentum. Because Title Update 10 looks like it's going to be fantastic, mm-hmm. and so we're finally positioned to get new stuff. But they've dropped the ball before, so just seeing that they are doing good things mm-hmm. with the future makes me more excited for the future. But that's just me.
Understandable.
But what they did also reveal through an audio log is a new mode called Skyscraper. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, basically, what this is going to be, according to this audio log, and they confirmed this. This is all confirmed. Mm-hmm. Because at the state of the game, it was kind of a bummer. They were just like, hey, a lot of stuff got leaked through the PTS. This is way more than we intended to have in there. It was our fault. We messed up. But we hope that you guys will be patient with us as we continue to develop these things. But Skyscraper was the big one.
Right.
It is going to be a mode in New York mm-hmm. where there is a 100-foot tall, 100-story high skyscraper. Mm-hmm. Each floor is a randomized arena, basically. Mm-hmm. And you have to progress up the tower higher and higher with each 10 floors, giving you a checkpoint. And then when you get to floor 80, it's apparently a mad dash to the finish to where you don't get any more checkpoints. So it's fun. Going to be finally a replayable game mode.
Right.
That gives us incentive to build outside of the raid and outside of the BS that is legendary and into something else. And I'm thrilled about it because we've been waiting this whole time. Division 1, after 1 year, had Underground, which was a randomized dungeon mode, which is what this is probably going to be similar to. Survival, which was the best version of a BR anyone's ever made. And then Last Stand, which was a PvP mode, but I don't play PvP. And then it had Resistance at the end of year 2. Like, it had a lot of other stuff to do. And with Division 2, we've just been getting more missions because they've been figuring out what the game is this whole time. And now they're finally going to add a new mode, and it's like, cool, momentum, finally, we're using it. But yeah, I'm really excited for that.
That sounds like a really fun game mode. I can't wait to see what comes out of that. That sounds really cool.
I mean, you could be there with us, you know.
I could.
You could. I mean, I've got the
I
crossbow
might.
ready for you.
I might.
I made you a build. You're just not using it because you're not here. And so.
Okay. All right. I'll have to use it. That kind of brings us into our catch-up segment of the show where we talk about what we've been playing and what we've been doing. So you just kind of talk. So I'll go first and talk about some stuff we've been playing. We've both been playing Ironman VR, so I want to talk about that in a second when we can both kind of go back and forth. But I'll give you a breather. I've been playing some Shadow of War. So the Shadow of Mordor, I think, was the first game.
Yeah.
Shadow of War, the sequel. Fairly old game at this point. I mean, it's probably 2 or 3.
2016, 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 2018.
3 or 4 years old now at this point. So
It's probably 2018, yeah.
yeah. I loved Shadow of Mordor. Was a big fan. Really loved that game when it came out. Was really excited about the second one. But then when I played it, I immediately was turned off. I don't know what it was about it. And I still can't really, even going back and playing it, other than it just feeling clunky, I don't know what I was so turned off by. But anyway, I've been replaying it, and it's not bad. When I first put the disc in, I had a ton of updates to download, right? And so I played without updating for probably 4 or 5 hours. So I played what the game was before this most recent update. And or I say most recent, probably like 2 or 3 years old at this point too. The updates, they basically like disabled the marketplace. They took a lot of the microtransactions out. It seems to be running smoother since I updated, so that's nice. But anyway, I don't know. It's still fun. I'm enjoying it. The gameplay. There are some things I like about it. Like I was thinking about how in a normal open world game, if you're like on a mount or something, there's always obstacles, right? With a mount, you're always trying to ride around a building, or if you approach something, you've got to kind of navigate your mount through the city or whatever. Something that I like about Shadow of War is that, and Mordor, it was like this. But if you're on a Karagor, that's kind of the mount. It's like a big cat monster thing. That thing can parkour. So if you're running to a destination that's past us, and there's a city or a mountain in your way, you just run over it and just climb straight through it. So there were some really nice innovations about that game, but that also leads to some rather clunky climbing. Like if you're trying to get to a specific place, it's very magnetic and just kind of takes you wherever it wants to go. Not just the mount, but like if you're just trying to run around too. But the combat is hard to beat. It's a lot of fun. It is very much a button mashing kind of, counter every now and then combat, but it's a lot of fun.
Arkham.
Yeah, it's Arkham. It's Arkham all over again, but just with elven magic. The Nemesis system, though, I hope more games can innovate on that system.
I hope more games innovate on it that it fits being innovated on with. Because if you play, honestly, if you really enjoy Shadow of War, you really probably should play Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
You think? Yeah, I might have
Because Assassin's Creed Odyssey is literally Ubisoft just saying, We want that.
We want Shadow of War, but better.
Make that, because it has. You're basically a demigod.
Yeah.
At like level 20, you can jump off a cliff and like you literally stop taking fall damage at level 20. And also, there is a nemesis system in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I didn't know that.
Where there are mercenaries constantly trying to get you, and you're climbing up the ranks of the mercenaries.
Yep.
And then there's the cultists, which are like the other half of the nemesis system. It's just a rip of Shadow of War, and I love Shadow of Mordor. I have yet to play Shadow of War, surprisingly, which it may be my next Games Pass game because it is on Games Pass.
Yeah. I'd say it's worth trying at this point. It's gotten a lot better.
Like, again, the biggest problem with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's not what it's not its own thing. It is trying to be everything but an Assassin's Creed game. That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
But I will probably try it.
It's good. But yeah, the Nemesis system is really, really fun. I love having... I love making my own stories with that, because there are certain enemies that just keep popping up. Like, I played through Act 1, and in Act 1, you can't dominate anybody yet. And so I'm into Act 2 now, and so I'm starting to build my own army now. But in Act 1, there was this guy, I think his name was the Machine or something, that was like his title. And he was an orc that had all these like robotic parts that, because apparently when I first killed him, they had to turn him into a machine so he could keep living. And so anyway, he hated me. And he would come after me, and I'd run into him every now and then in different places. And then there was this other guy, I forget what his name was, but he had like this golden armor with this wing mask, and he talked like this, and everything was so exciting and whatever like that. And he had a poison weapon, and I finally killed him. And I got a sword from him, and I expected it to be a poison sword, but it was a fire sword, and so that's the sword I have right now. So I'm excited about that. But anyway, I don't know. It's just a really fun game. I really like that, and I'm gonna keep playing through it. I've been needing something to play while I wait for Last of Us Part 2, which we won't have to wait much longer for. But anyway, okay, Steven, was there another game you wanted to talk about before we got to Ironman, or was that? I think that was your 2.
Let me see.
I mean, we can just jump into Ironman. You can just start and talk about your experience with it.
What else have I been playing? It's probably been basically... Jeremy and I are looking for stuff to play on PC.
Yeah.
I guess I could talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
So we're doing Torchlight right now. He seems to really like it. We are doing Division 2 a little bit on the PC, just because it is very different. Been playing Hades. I enjoy Hades. I'm taking a break from BattleTech because it pissed me off. And that's me.
That's you. All right, well, let's talk about Iron Man VR. So Iron Man VR, a game that we have ridiculed on this podcast before, saying that no one cares about it being delayed, and no one cares when it comes out. I'm now eating...
Which wasn't false.
I mean, you're right. That is how I think most people felt before they saw or played this demo. I'm now eating those words because I looked up the release date the other day, and I was like, why is it July? I need it to be sooner. So Iron Man released a demo. I streamed a little bit of it Friday afternoon or night, if you want to go back and watch for reference of kind of the game. But I'll talk about my first experience with it, Steven, and you can kind of jump in. But like, I downloaded it. I was excited to try it. Set up my PSVR system and was ready to go. And put the helmet on. And there's this moment where there's holographic, and you see like the helmet shut, and then the eyes open, and you see everything around you, and it's like, oh, cool. And like, this is the very beginning, right? This is the first mission. And you see these Iron Man hands in front of you, and they're pointing down. And I think somebody prompts you like, okay, first things first, hands forward, palms down. And I was just like, okay. And so I do that. And then it was like, now pull the triggers to engage. And so I pull, and your thrusters activate on your hands, and you go up. And it was such a cool moment. And you know, when you're playing VR, like anytime you're moving for whatever reason, there's always that kind of like stomach feeling. But that first takeoff was really, really fun. And then from there, it shows you like wherever your palms are aimed, that's the direction you're going to go. So it feels very natural to move.
Yeah, because like when I was playing it, I felt like I was actually standing like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Whenever I was just trying to fly, and there were cool moments where like someone would shoot at me, and I would just be like, "Oh gosh, I need to dodge," and then I would take my left hand and point it out and thrust to dodge, and then I'd have my right hand out and I'd shoot with it.
Yep.
So they did such a clever, like it was so clever to do this to where like because my biggest problem with VR games is probably, okay, how do I move? Because if it's teleporting, no.
Yeah, teleporting is not always the best.
And so every single time I see a VR game, it's just like, okay, first things first, how am I moving in this game? And what they did was they embraced that idea of you move like Iron Man moves. Your hands are your stabilizers. That is how you thrust. That's how you direct and everything. And let me tell you, at that first part when like you're flying around and everything, like, I think I went, like, really high in the air because I just had my hands pointed down, and I was just like, oh, my gosh, this is really cool. And then when they were like, okay, now thrust forward, and I flew forward, I just started, like, flying down, and then I realized that I had full control, and where I was looking is where I flew and everything, and then I could, like, boost and stuff. And it was just, like, it wasn't quite this, but it was pretty, not... It was like web swinging for the first time in Spider-Man PS4.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that,
but it's as close to being Iron Man as many of us are ever going to get.
Like, because it was like watching Iron Man, like the first Iron Man movie, like when he first flies, it was like they replicated that in my living room.
Yeah, it was so fun. And then playing through the demo itself, you do a little flying tutorial or whatever, and like Steven and I have already said, it's so natural, and using the beams out of the hand is so natural, and it feels really good. Then you go on kind of the first mission, and it's a few years later. You're on an airplane. You're getting some story. You're getting a lot of foreshadowing about the ghost and who that person is. And you get to actually make choices in dialogue, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if any of that's going to matter later on, but that was kind of cool. It looks like it's going to be a really good Iron Man story inside of a VR game, which usually, VR games are just kind of, I guess like Half-Life Alyx and some newer games have probably excelled in the story realm in VR.
Yes.
Because normally it's just like, make a cool experience, But anyway,
I mean, that's how a VR game like this plays to its strengths. Because Blood and Truth, for example, I really enjoyed the story for that game because it was short-lived, but the scenes, like the cut scenes or the story moments or whatever, they were intense because you're there,
right?
And so like when a VR game does that, where it makes use of its story beats and like the non-gameplay moments, that's really when a VR game can play to its strengths, because it's literally putting you in the shoes of the character, and who better to want to be right now than Iron Man.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really, really fun. My only complaint, and I hope there's maybe an accessibility option for this that I just haven't found yet, but have you done much of the combat trial, Steven?
I did a little bit of those, yeah.
So so you get the demo, which is like 2 chapters. It's the intro, and then chapter 1, which is an airplane scene. And they're both really fun. But then there's also a flight test and a combat trial that you can do, which are very fun, very replayable. If you have PSVR, I highly recommend you go play through the demo and then play those to just practice and get good as being Iron Man. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, the combat trial is really, really fun. Because it gives you a new weapon. In the demo, you just have your thrusters and you can punch. But in the combat trial, you get access to these auxiliary rockets. And the way they work, everything else is tracking off your palms. But this, you have to actually like put your arms down so that like your wrist is revealed, which makes you point the balls of the move controllers down. And then once those auxiliary rockets are activated, you can point your palms back up to aim those rockets and then press a button to shoot. That has not been very successful for me personally.
Yeah,
every time
I had so much trouble with that.
Yeah, every time I point down to activate them, as soon as I point up to aim, they deactivate. So I hope they come up with a button you can press and hold. Like once they're activated, you can hold X or something and then come back up and aim. But I don't know. Maybe they'll fix that or hone that in. Either way, it's still so much fun. And yeah, like you were talking about earlier, Steven, of just like flying with one hand, shooting with the other, you know, coming up and doing like big moves with both hands. I finally figured out how to use the unibeam. Have you figured out how to use the unibeam?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's fun. I did that for the first time live Friday night.
Because I did it by accident, and when I started the combat trial, I was even thinking like, man, I wonder if the unibeam's in this. You gotta have the unibeam if you're Iron Man. And then like 5 minutes later, I just hear like, unibeam, go! And it was just like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The best part about the live stream I did Friday was I had a body cam on me. So my full body is in the corner, so you can see me like puffing up my chest, like turning it around, trying to shoot or everything. So it's some great gifts have probably come out of that I just haven't even seen yet. So anyway, Iron Man VR. Definitely something I'm getting. I mean, I don't think you can pre-order it, but I'm gonna end up buying this for sure. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you have PSVR, definitely go try out the demo. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of ChortleCast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com. You can like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, subscribe if you'd like. If you're watching on Facebook, you're at Chortle Games on Facebook. You can like, share, again, comment. We love your interaction, all that good stuff. If you don't like to watch on Facebook or YouTube, we also have Twitch, twitch.tv/Chortle_games. You can follow us there, subscribe if you like. And we also are streaming on Twitter now, which is at Chortle Games on Twitter. So if you like watching us on Twitter, you can do that there too. We're just everywhere, you know what I mean? You can also join our Discord. There's a link in the description of this video. If you want to jump in, hang out with us, we post memes, we post votes on what you want to see us live stream, all that good stuff. So yeah, be a part of the community. Now, I mentioned that I'm very excited to announce something, and I completely forgot about it in the pre-show, but I can talk about it here. Right after this, this is the first episode in June. Happy June, Steven. So we got to talk about the next Forward Compatible, and I'm very excited because I am going to be a part of this Forward Compatible, and it's going to be very different. All right. Now, Steven, what game is coming out this month?
Oh gosh. I could check Steam. I'm sure there's a few anime girl games coming out.
Just do the segue that I want you to do.
Last of Us Part 2.
So what better for a forward compatible than Last of Us
Knack 2, baby!
1?
Oh, Last of Us Part 1.
Yeah, Last of Us Part 1. So, very excited. We're doing Last of Us Part 1 this month. And I say month, but actually, we're doing it all at once. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're doing a 15-plus hour live stream this coming...
Yeah, like this week.
This week. So probably Friday and Saturday. We might split it into 2 streams, but we're going to do it all at once. So starting Friday, that's June 5th, and then Saturday, June 6th, we are going to live stream the whole game in 1 to 2 sittings. So it's going to be me. I'm going to be playing mostly. Steven might jump in and play a little bit.
Technically, the rules dictate that I can't play.
Because it has to be something we haven't played in 5 years or more. I haven't played it in 5 years, but Steven has played it.
Jake is playing this instead of me because of a technicality.
Well, actually, honestly,
it was your idea.
I wanted to stream this
Yeah.
all last month as just kind of for my own personal. I want to refresh. I want to get back into it. But then Steven was like, well, we could do a forward compatible on it. And I was like, oh, that's a good point. So anyway, I'm going to be a part of it. I'm actually going to be a part of the review as well. So Steven's still going to write the review and help with the voiceover, but I'm going to be in that voiceover. I'll still obviously be editing it and all that good stuff, but very exciting. That's happening this Friday and Saturday. If you don't see us Friday, that means something happened and we're just doing it Saturday. But I'm pretty sure we're going to end up doing it Friday and Saturday just to get through the whole thing. Make sure we have plenty of time.
If you don't hear from us Friday, something happened.
And if you don't hear from us Saturday, something really happened. So somebody call somebody. But anyway, we're very excited about that. And then and we're going to try to get the review out before Last of Us Part 2 comes out, so that you can have that and you can kind of have a refresher from that review as well. So anyway, it's going to be very exciting. I'm excited. So look forward to that coming to you soon. Actually, right after this, we're going to do a preview talking about what we remember about the game and what we're expecting to come out of it. So stay tuned to that. It's probably going to air in the next 15 to 20 minutes after this podcast ends. So I think we're going to go get ready for that. So thank you guys for watching. Steven, thank you for being here.
Yep.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.